But today we are going to talk about, we are really revising what we have talked in last 10 lectures, right? Today I am putting before you several multiple choice questions, then several true and false questions, and then the new thing which you might like it, that is the fill up the blanks. Right? This whole thing is the exercise to revise what we have learned, and at the same time, what can be the possible learning today. That is what we are going to do it today. So we are starting now, and with the starting, we are going to talk about the number one is MCQ is most effective filtration pressure. Filtration pressure is the renal glomeruli is about what? Effective filtration pressure. That is the pressure from which we remove all the negative and all positive, right? And ultimately, which causes filtration. So that is the 10 millimeter, maybe 20 millimeter, maybe 30 millimeter, 45 and 60 millimeter. Which one is the true here?
10 millimeter. 10 millimeter.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the A is the true answer. You know the blood pressure in the renal arteriole is 60 millimeter. Then plasma osmotic pressure is what we call it as a 32 millimeter. The opposing pressure in the, Bowman's capsule is 18 millimeter. So 18 millimeter and 32 millimeter, they are opposing force. And 60 millimeter is the filtration force. So 10 millimeter is the real filtration pressure, right? So that is 10 millimeter is the correct answer. Which of the following determines GFR? That is the glomerular filtration rate, right? So which one is the determining this one? That is the pressure in the Bowman's capsule. The pressure, which of the following is the pressure in the Bowman's capsule? No, it is not determining. It is opposing. Plasma oncotic pressure, again it is opposing. It is preventing the filtration. Blood pressure in the efferent renal arteriole. This is the correct one. 60 millimeter pressure is responsible for ultimately the actual filtration pressure. The 60 millimeter overcomes the 32 plus 18, 60 minus 50 is the 10 millimeter pressure is responsible. Now try to remember it here, quite an important thing. There's a blood pressure in the efferent renal arteriole. It has nothing to do with the filtration pressure, right? So which of the following determines the GFR? GFR is determined by pressure, blood pressure in the efferent renal arteriole. Efferent renal arteriole. Then comes the negatively charged particle filters with a difficulty because why they are filtered with a difficulty. Negatively charged particles, one possible answer is they are charged. Negatively charged particles are large particles in the size. Could be, it could be, but it is little different thing. Positively charged particles prevent their filtration. This is also one of the possible. Filter membrane is negatively charged, and that is responsible for preventing their filtration. So here most likely answer, most correct answer is filter membrane is negatively charged, and therefore they are filtered with a great difficulty. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming back to this point. Albumin is a negatively charged particle. Albumin has got a larger size also, right? And this is try to pass, but as soon as it comes to the filter membrane, it is repelled back. So only a low fraction, a very minute amount of the albumin is filtered out in the glomerular filtrate. Best way to measure GFR is by using inulin clearance, creatinine clearance, PAS clearance, and heavy water. Which of the Pardon me? Inulin clearance, yes. You are right, yes. It is freely filtered, not reabsorbed, and it is removed, and passed in the urine. So inulin clearance is the best one. Why not creatinine clearance? The answer here is creatinine clearance can be, but not an accurate one. Best way is inulin clearance. Although it is very difficult to carry out in the hospital or in the laboratory, right? And therefore, we usually clinically we use creatinine clearance, which may be little bit up and down on either side. Which of the following structure is not present in the renal medulla? Try to go back. Loop of Henle, collecting ducts, vasa recta. Are they present in the renal medulla? They are present in the renal medulla. Only, yes, somebody has pointed it out. It is a correct answer. Juxtaglomerular apparatus is not present in the renal medulla. Macula densa is present in where? In proximal convoluted tubule, in the loop of Henle, thick end of the ascending limb of the loop of Henle, or collecting ducts. Where it is present, macula densa?
C.
C is the correct answer. Yes, C is the correct answer. You are right. Yes. Then coming to the resting male. GFR is about 150, 125, 80 milliliter, and 50 milliliter per minute. Which one is the correct answer here?
B. 125.
B, yes. B is the correct answer. Yes, you are right. Yes. In a normal male, yes, please. In a normal male, effective renal blood flow. Try to understand the word renal blood flow. I'm not talking about the plasma flow. How much blood flows through the kidney every minute? Go back to your first year. Go back to your renal circulation. That is the 1/4 of the cardiac output flows through the kidney, right? And cardiac output is 5 liters. So 1/4 becomes the 1250 milliliter. That is the correct answer. That is the A is the correct answer. Micturition occurs in response to the contraction of what? Micturition means process of urination. Yes, B is the correct answer. Detrusor muscles of the urinary bladder. Now, you have to read everything simultaneously. Micturition occurs in response to the contraction of ureter muscles, no. Contraction of detrusor muscles, yes. Contraction of the internal sphincter, no. Contraction of the external sphincter, no. So detrusor muscles contraction is the correct answer. A tuft of the capillaries in the nephron is called what? Nephron loop, peritubular plexus, glomerulus, vasa recta. A tuft, yes. C is the no. Nephron, not nephron loop. Nephron loop is wrong. Glomerulus is the correct answer. Right? Glomerulus is the correct answer. Ladies and gentlemen, most abundant nitrogen waste in the blood is urea. There is no doubt about that. Yes. The most abundant, most abundant. Otherwise, all are nitrogen waste. Uric acid is also nitrogen waste. Creatinine is also nitrogen waste. Ammonia is also nitrogen waste. The abundant, the larger quantities is the urea. Most of the sodium in tubular filtrate is reabsorbed where? Most of. I'm talking of most of sodium. That is how much sodium? PCT, yes. PCT is the correct answer. 65 to 75% of sodium is reabsorbed in PCT. Again, ladies and gentlemen, just try to remember. In PCT, what happens? The sodium is present in the tubular fluid, right? It can go inside the cell. How? That is, try to remember, at the apical end or at the luminal end, it is a passive diffusion. Why? Because there is a negativity created by the sodium-potassium ATPase pump. That is, the sodium has been thrown out of the cell, so there is a negativity created, and that is the energy which pulls it towards the At the same time, sodium is exchanged here with hydrogen. So sodium goes inside, hydrogen comes out. I mean, the tubular fluid, right? So sodium, once it goes inside the cell from the basal membrane by ATPase pump, it is removed out. That is, it is thrown out. Say 3 sodium ions go out and 2 potassium ions taken inside. That is what is happening in PCT. Another thing is, sodium is also responsible for the co-transport of glucose. So glucose also reabsorbed with the sodium, right? Now this is an important part here in the proximal converter. So sodium is actively reabsorbed, exchanged with the hydrogen ion, and at the same time it is transported with the glucose. Now, what about the thick segment of the ascending limb of the loop of Henle? Sodium is taken out of the tubular fluid, right? And this is again the co-transport system, and therefore ascending limb, the tubular fluid becomes a diluted one, because cells of the ascending limb, thick segment, they are impermeable to water, and therefore water is not absorbed at that time. Water remains in the tubular fluid, and sodium is reabsorbed, and therefore tubular fluid becomes a diluted one. What about DCT? Sodium is reabsorbed in DCT. Sodium and chloride, they are reabsorbed in the proximal part of the DCT, right? With the syn port, co-transport, right? In the distal part of the DCT and in the collecting duct, it is absorbed in the exchange with the potassium first. If the potassium level is going low, then it is exchanged with the hydrogen ion. So this is how the sodium is reabsorbed in these places. And which of the following shows the zero renal clearance? Ladies and gentlemen, go back to. No. This is not the uric acid. This is wrong.
Glucose.
Wait. Which of the following shows zero renal clearance? What is meant by zero renal clearance? What is meant by clearance? Clearance means, just try to define this one. The quantity of plasma that has been cleared off. That is, the quantity of the plasma that has been cleared off a substance. So here, some of the sodium is not cleared well, it still remains in the plasma. Some of the urea is not cleared well, still remains in the plasma. Some of the uric acid, glucose is the only substance which clears completely. And therefore, zero renal clearance is, the right answer is glucose. That is, the glucose is completely reabsorbed. Now, another thing which you try to remember, you might be somewhere in the oral examination or somewhere, that is what is the site of absorption of glucose? Please try to remember, it is only PCT. It is only proximal converter tubule. Neither it is absorbed in the loop of Henle or in ascending limb or descending limb or distal converter tubule or collecting ducts. Only in PCT. Say the level is very high, we will see what happens afterwards. Glucose reabsorption occurs. Yes. Glucose reabsorption occurs in the Bowman's capsule. No, nothing is absorbed in the Bowman's capsule. Proximal converter tubule, the correct answer. The loop of Henle, no, because glucose is absorbed only in the proximal tubule. And it is, how it is absorbed? It is absorbed by secondary active transport. It is absorbed with the co-transport with the sodium. So it binds with the sodium. It binds with the receptor with the sodium and goes inside the cell, and then it is stored in some way or disposed of. So proximal converter tubule is the correct answer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just try to remember it here. In the presence of vasopressin means ADS. In the presence of vasopressin, most of the water is reabsorbed in. This is a tricky question, quite a tactful question. In the presence of ADS, most of the water is reabsorbed where?
PCT.
Presence of ADS.
PCT.
That is in the wait. In the presence of most of the water is reabsorbed in most of the water.
Collecting duct.
Ladies and gentlemen, where is the most of the water is reabsorbed in the inner tubule? 60 to 70%, 65 to 70% of water is reabsorbed in PCT. Do you remember that one?
PCT.
PCT. And does it require the presence of ADS? No. So whether the presence of ADS, in the presence of ADS, most of the water is still absorbed in the PCT. Not collecting that. Collecting that is only 6-7%, 10% of the water. 70% of the water is present, is absorbed in the reabsorbed in the proximal conductor. This is the obligatory absorption. It has to be absorbed at all costs, whether the vasopressin or ADS is present or not present, right? So I'm talking to you. It is a tricky question. In the presence of vasopressin, most of the water is reabsorbed in PCT. Because most of the water, 70% of water is absorbed in PCT, it is in the presence of vasopressin or in absence of vasopressin. Presence of the vasopressin, water, most of the, if I remove it, water is reabsorbed in collecting ducts. Agreed. That is, ADS is responsible for causing the reabsorption of water. Nearly, say 7 to 10% of the water is reabsorbed in the later part of the collecting, later part of DCT and collecting ducts. Now, the same question, I'm putting it again. In the absence of ADS, major fraction of the water is reabsorbed where? Again in PCT. Yes. So, whether the ADS is present or not present, most of the water is reabsorbed in the proximal conductor tubule. So, one more thing I want to tell you. That is, once it stops, we will try to reconnect it again, because the whole thing I want you to discuss today. Still I have collected a lot of material. Coming to the another one, related one. Site of the action of ADS is where? Collecting ducts. Yes, you are right. Yes, you are right. Very, very right. Collecting ducts. Site of. Action of ADS. Following substances are filtered by the glomerular capillaries, except what? Albumin, yes. Because of the large size and because of the negative. The major fraction of the sodium is reabsorbed where? Sodium is reabsorbed where?
PCT.
Try to remember. Nearly 70%, 65 to 70% of the sodium is reabsorbed in the proximal tubule. Then, descending limb of the loop of Henle, no absorption of the sodium. Only, removal of the water from there. Thin segment of ALS, ascending limb, no absorption. Little bit in the collecting ducts. That is, the collecting ducts, sodium is reabsorbed. If you put it here, ascending limb of the loop of Henle, thick segment of the loop, thick segment here, if you put thick segment, then nearly 20% of the sodium is reabsorbed. 70% in PCT, 20% in thick segment, and remaining 7 to 8% in the distal conductor tubule and collecting ducts. So, the correct answer is, now ladies and gentlemen, little bit more. Aldosterone causes sodium reabsorption in proximal conductor tubule, later half DCT and CD, thick segment of the loop of Henle, hairpin loop of B. Yes, you are right. Yes, because here it is the spironolactone. That is acting on this one. So B is the correct answer here. Ladies and gentlemen, what about the glucose transport in proximal converter tubule? Little bit
Sodium symport.
sodium synport or sodium co-transport. Yes, you are right here. You are right, yes. You are very, very right. Water reabsorption in proximal converter tubule. 70% water is reabsorbed here, right? What is the mechanism of that one? Is it the pressure gradient or law of diffusion? Osmosis is the correct answer. Active transport and facilitated diffusion, that is not the answer. Now, another thing, bicarbonate reabsorption in proximal converter tubule.
Facilitated.
Back to proximal converter tubule, bicarbonate is a substance really filtered by the glomeruli, comes in the proximal converter tubule, and it is reabsorbed. How it is reabsorbed? Now, is it reabsorbed?
Facilitated.
That the bicarbonate goes passively to that side because the concentration is high here? It is not the case. It is an active transport. Nothing is active transport for this one. Is it a facilitated diffusion? No, because facilitated diffusion cannot happen. There must be some substance which can bind with this one and take it away. Nothing happens here. So, ladies and gentlemen, D is the correct answer, right? D is the correct answer. How? That is, the bicarbonate appears in this form of sodium bicarbonate. Agree? And sodium is reabsorbed either actively or with the exchange with the hydrogen ion. Agreed? Now, this is how sodium is reabsorbed. But the bicarbonate still remains in the tubular fluid. Now, this bicarbonate, that is sodium and hydrogen ion are exchanged. The sodium goes into the cell and hydrogen ion comes back. This hydrogen ion binds with the bicarbonate to form carbonic acid. In the tubular fluid, that dissociates into carbon dioxide and water. Both are taken into the cell, diffused into the cell. In the proximal tubular cells, try to remember there is an important enzyme known as carbonic anhydrase. Carbonic anhydrase causes a reaction between water and carbon dioxide to form carbonic acid, which ionizes to form bicarbonate and hydrogen ion. Hydrogen ion is exchanged with the sodium of the tubular fluid. So sodium goes into the cell and hydrogen ion comes into the tubular fluid. Again, it binds with the another bicarbonate. But the bicarbonate, as a result of ionization of the H2CO3, that bicarbonate diffuses from the basal side into the interstitial fluid and ultimately goes to the blood. So this is what we call as a indirectly through the intracellular synthesis. A new bicarbonate ion is produced, synthesized in the cell, right? And this is how the bicarbonate reabsorption occurs in the. So try to remember this is the D is the correct answer here. The main site for the bicarbonate reabsorption in the PCT. There is no doubt about that. Which of the following is completely reabsorbed in the renal tubules? Do sodium ions, potassium ions, chloride ions? That is, yes, bicarbonate ions are completely reabsorbed. Yeah, you are right here. Sodium, little bit excreted in the urine. Potassium is also excreted in the urine. Chloride also still excreted in the urine. Listen, acidification of urine. Where does it happen? Acidification means reabsorption of the sodium and removal of the hydrogen ions. Where does it happen? This happens in the collecting ducts, not the loop of LA, no. Not in the proximal half. The proximal half of the DCT is not. Later half, the distal half can be correct one, but the collecting duct is the correct answer for acidification of urine, where sodium is reabsorbed and hydrogen is, that is in the late, try to remember, later half of DCT and collecting ducts. It is the aldosterone which is working. And aldosterone would cause reabsorption of the sodium and removal of the hydrogen ion. And hydrogen comes in the lumen and acidifies acidifies the urine. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the tubuloglomerular feedback. What is this one? Tubuloglomerular feedback. That is, the tubules and glomeruli feedback is mediated by macula densa. What is the macula densa? Modified epithelial cells at the end of the thick segment. Right? They are capable to sensing, they are capable to detecting. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, who is giving the answer B? The answer is not wrong, but I would say it is not really correct. Sodium chloride is a concentration in the tubular fluid which is detected by these cells. So they are chemoreceptors. Sodium chloride is detected by these cells and they are mediating the tubular feedback so that the glomerular filtration rate can be changed, right? So sodium concentration, I don't say that it is a wrong one. It is partly correct, but the real correct is sodium chloride. The high sodium content of the renal interstitium is caused by renal interstitium. Try to remember, renal interstitium is the extracellular fluid present in the renal medulla, right? And that contains on one side the renal tubules, and it also contains, vasa recta, and remaining part is the tubular fluid is known as renal interstitium. It contains some cells also. That is, the high content of the sodium is caused by in the renal interstitium. Who causes? What is the cause of that one? Counter current mechanism at the thick segment of ascending limb of the loop of Henle. Just we will be discussing a little more about this one. Increased blood flow in vasa recta. Has it something to do with the increase in the sodium contents? No, it is vasa recta is mainly for the mixing, right? So then increase reabsorption of the sodium in PCT. What happens to the sodium which is reabsorbed in PCT? Now try to remember, PCT is most of the time, whether it is the cortical glomeruli or in the glomeruli, this is in the region. And most of the time, whenever the sodium is reabsorbed, it immediately taken to the extracellular fluid and ultimately taken in the blood. So it is not increasing the renal interstitium. Any sodium secretion of Na by peritubular capillaries? No. Peritubular capillaries, they don't secrete sodium. They take the sodium in the renal vein, right? Now coming to the counter current mechanism in the ascending limb, that is an important one. Ladies and gentlemen, let's try to remember, I was talking to you that in the ascending limb of the loop of Henle, the fluid is coming from the loop of Henle, hairpin loop, and coming up. This contains quite a huge quantity of sodium. Sodium from how much that one? That is nearly 30% of the sodium is present in the tubular fluid. Out of that 30%, 20% is reabsorbed here in the ascending limb of the thick segment of the loop of Henle by the co-transporters, active transporters. And that makes the tubular fluid diluted, and at the same time, tubular fluid diluted, not the interstitium. That substance is put in the interstitium. That is, the thick segment cells, they absorb sodium, and from the basal region, they put it in the interstitium. So high sodium content in the renal interstitium is caused by counter current mechanism. Ladies and gentlemen, renin, though it is an enzyme, that's right to remember, but we still treat it as a hormone. Renin is secreted by juxtaglomerular cells. You are right, guys. Not by macula densa, not by mesangial cells, not by the renal interstitium, but juxtaglomerular cells. Now, these juxtaglomerular cells are what? They are smooth muscle cells, granular smooth muscle cells. And they secrete renin whenever there is a whenever there is a fall in the blood pressure. Sodium retention in ECF is caused by the action of what? Try to remember. Can it be as a result of ADH? No. ADH has nothing to do with the sodium retention. It is responsible for water retention. ATP has nothing to do. Calcitriol is vitamin D, active form of vitamin D. It has nothing to do. Renin-angiotensin system is responsible for retention of the sodium. How? Renin-angiotensin system, how does it help? That is the renin-angiotensin system is responsible for the formation of angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2, that is the angiotensinogen of plasma protein converted into angiotensin 1, and angiotensin 1 goes to the lungs. The angiotensin converting enzyme converts it to angiotensin 2. So angiotensin 2 is formed in the renin-angiotensin system. Angiotensin 2 has got two functions. One is to cause constriction of the arterioles. Another is to stimulate the production of aldosterone. It is the aldosterone which causes retention of the sodium in the tubular fluid. In the ECF. Am I correct you here? Sodium retention is in the ECF is caused by the action of renin-angiotensin system, because it is responsible for secretion of the aldosterone, and aldosterone causes reabsorption of the sodium from the renal tubule. And of that, once it is absorbed, it is put in the extracellular fluid, and this is the correct answer. Minimum volume of the urine required for the excretion of waste product is how much? How much minimum?
500 ml per day.
No, this is correct, not correct. Minimum amount I am talking about. Cannot be
500 ml.
so. It is not 250. That is only urea.
500.
500, yes. This is the correct answer. 500 ml of the urine must be minimum produced 24 hours per day, 24 hours to excrete the waste products. That is the correct answer. Raised angiotensin 2 in the blood seen in the condition of what? Angiotensin 2 is increased in the blood. In what conditions? Is it regarding the increased blood volume? How does it do? Blood volume, increased blood. Raised angiotensin 2 in the blood is seen in condition of what? In other words, what is the factor which is responsible to cause the increased secretion of angiotensin 2? Angiotensin 2. That is, the angiotensin 2 is in response to?
Decreased blood pressure.
Yes. Decreased blood pressure, fall in the blood pressure is the best stimulus for the secretion of angiotensin 2. And ultimately it causes a rise in the blood pressure. So severe fall in the blood pressure, not only the ordinary fall, it must be a severe fall. And then coming to the next one, erythropoietin is secreted by no, not macula densa, not macula densa. Macula densa doesn't erythropoietin. Glomerular cells doesn't secrete erythropoietin. It is the renal interstitial cells. Renal interstitium, there are cells in the renal interstitium. They are responsible for the secretion of erythropoietin. Right? Kidney secretes. The kidney is known as one of the important endocrine organ. Ladies and gentlemen, important endocrine organ. Kidney secretes erythropoietin, agreed, by the renal interstitial cells. Renin-angiotensin system is definitely secreted by. Now here the thing is, kidney secretes all the following hormone except. Do you think? No. 125-DSCC calcitriol is secreted by the kidney. It is not the exception. Exception is atrial natriuretic peptide, ANP, is the exception. Am I correct to you here? That is, the erythropoietin is a hormone. What is the purpose of this one? This is responsible to stimulate red bone marrow to produce more RBC. Renin-angiotensin system is responsible for restoration of the blood pressure, regulation of the blood pressure. 125 DSCC calcitriol, vitamin D, is responsible for resorption of, absorption of calcium from the intestine. That is the most sensitive test for the renal tubular function. Most sensitive test for the renal tubular functions. Try to remember tubular functions. Tubular functions. Specific gravity of the urine, estimation of the blood urea, GFR, and creatinine clearance.
GFR, sir.
No.
Creatinine clearance.
Most sensitive function is the specific gravity. That is, the specific gravity is the most sensitive function of the renal tubular functions. Right? This is the absorption of water depends on the specific gravity. During the dehydration, the maximum water is reabsorbed, the specific gravity is increased. And in case of excessive drinking of overhydration, the specific gravity decreases. This is the important function of the metabolic reaction occurs in the body. All the following except what? Trying to remember.
Acids.
Our body produces all the following acids except
Fatty acid.
Hydrochloric acid.
hydrochloric acid.
Hydrochloric acid.
Lactic acid produced in anaerobic oxidation. Carbonic acid is normally produced. Fatty acids are as a result of fatty acids. So fatty acid can be in the form of ketone bodies as well. Regarding urinary bladder, which of the following is not true? First, us develops when 150 ml urine accumulates in the bladder. Is it correct or not? It is the correct one. Urinary bladder capacity is about 1000 ml. No. The maximum, that is the 600 ml. Bladder muscles are smooth muscles. Yes. Their detrusor muscles are smooth muscles. Trigone of the urinary bladder is the most sensitive reason. Yes. So, the correct answer here is B. Urinary bladder has got a capacity of 1000 ml. No. Maximum 600. More than 600, it can burst. Ladies and gentlemen, in the process of kidney transplantation, which of the following is true? Say in the kidney transplantation, only 1 out of 4 is true one. So in the kidney transplantation, do we remove both the kidneys of the recipient before we graft it? We don't remove the diseased kidney of the recipient. We let them live there, let them lie there, right? We put the donor kidney in the somewhere else. Donor kidney is grafted in the pelvis. Yes, that is the correct answer. Ureter of the donor kidney is stitched with that of the recipient. No, that is no stitched with the ureter of the recipient, but it is the transplanted in the urinary bladder, right? Resection is prevented by the use of proper antibiotic. No, antibiotic prevents the inflammation, infection, but not the resection. Resection is prevented by prednisolone and cyclosporine. That is the immunosuppressive drugs. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have much time before you. It is people are coming. Now, this is the true and false of the following statement. Which one is the true and which one is the false? No hormone is acting on proximal condylar tubule to experience reabsorption and excretion. Is there any hormone working on the proximal condylar tubule?
No, sir.
It is. Parathyroid hormone is responsible for reabsorption of calcium and excretion of the phosphate. Number 2, angiotensin 2 is also responsible for the purpose of reabsorption of the sodium. Na, sodium is the most abundant solute in the urine. Is it correct? Most abundant solute in the urine is what? Most abundant solute in the urine is urea and chlorides. Kidney has more distal condylar tubule than collecting ducts. That is, the number of the distal condylar tubule are many, and they are ending in the collecting ducts. So this is the correct answer. Tight junction between the epithelial cells of the tubule. Tight junction of the epithelial cells prevent the leakage of the material. Does it? Tight junction between the tubular cells. Does it prevent the leakage of the material? No. Water can pass through these tight junctions. All forms of the diabetes. This is the false. All forms of the diabetes are characterized by the presence of the glucose in the urine. Is it a correct one? Ladies and gentlemen, there is one thing which we call it as a diabetes mellitus. It is a metabolic syndrome, a disturbed metabolism. There is another diabetes which is known as the diabetes insipidus. And diabetes insipidus is caused by the absence of ADH. And in diabetes insipidus, the large quantity of urine, diluted urine is produced. And therefore, all forms of the diabetes, the glucose is not present in the urine in case of diabetes insipidus, but it is present in the diabetes mellitus. So, all forms of the characterized by presence of the glucose is not correct. Right? This is a wrong question. Angiotensin II causes a strong constriction of efferent glomerular arterioles. Correct. That is, the angiotensin II causes constriction of the renal afferent arteriole as well as efferent arteriole, but a stronger constriction of the efferent arteriole. Micturition is caused by the contraction of the detrusor muscles. Correct. Parathyroid hormone promotes calcium and phosphate reabsorption. That is, I was talking to you in the beginning. No hormone is acting. That is, the parathyroid hormone promotes the calcium reabsorption, but phosphate excretion. So this is not correct one. Parathyroid hormone promotes calcium and phosphate reabsorption is not a correct answer. It promotes the calcium reabsorption, but not the phosphate reabsorption. Phosphate excretion is promoted. Diameter of the afferent arteriole is larger than that of the efferent arteriole. Correct. Relative large inlets to the glomerulus and smaller inlet results in the high blood pressure in the glomerular capillaries. That is, the larger diameter provides a large inlet to the glomerulus, and smaller diameter is providing the smaller, and this smaller inlet outlet. Therefore, it causes a high blood pressure in the glomerular capillary, favors filtration. Protein buffers regulate pH in the plasma or ECF. Protein buffers regulate, try to understand it. Protein buffers regulate pH in plasma and ECF. Where are the protein buffers present?
Cells.
Yes. Or are they present in the cells as well, intracellular? So intracellular proteins, buffers are more important than extracellular proteins, plasma proteins. And therefore, proteins regulate pH in ECF or plasma is a wrong answer. Plasma protein buffers are regulating mainly the intracellular pH. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the another little bit different. Fill up the blank spaces. Blank spaces. The reflex is an autonomic reflex activated by the pressure in the urinary bladder. These questions are set. Fill up the blanks are set just to exercise your mind. What are you thinking about? Right? So think about that. The reflex is an autonomic reflex activated by pressure in the urinary bladder. What is the name of this reflex?
Micturition reflex.
Micturition reflex. Yes, that's right. Yes, that is the second one. Is the ability of the nephron to adjust GFR. What is to be filled here? Tubuloglomerular feedback is the ability of the nephron to adjust its own GFR. Next one is two ureter and urethra forms the boundaries of a small area called what?
Trigone.
Trigone, yes. Trigone is in the floor of the urinary bladder. That is, there is a group of epithelial cells at the end of the thick segment of ascending limb of loop of Henle. At the thick end of the thick segment, the group of the cells that monitors the flow and composition of the tubular fluid. What is that?
Macula densa.
Macula densa, yes, that is right. That is right. To enter the capsular space, the filtrate must pass between the foot process of the cells that forms the visceral layer of the capsule. What is these cells?
Podocytes.
Podocytes.
Podocytes. Glycosuria occurs if glucose level in the filtrate exceeds the of proximal convert tubule. D means what? What is here? Ladies and gentlemen, I was talking to you quite I may say, in the first or second or third, I don't remember. Something like TMG.
Transport maximum.
Transport maximum of glucose. How much is that?
350.
Yes, 350, yes. So, glycosuria occurs if glucose level in the filtrate exceeds TMG of the proximal convert tubule. Here is the TMG is the correct answer. The seventh is the hormone that regulates the volume of water reabsorbed by the collecting ducts. What is that hormone that regulates the volume of water reabsorbed by the collecting ducts? CD.
ADH.
Yes, vasopressin or ADH. Ladies and gentlemen, the sphincter is under involuntary control. Try to remember, involuntary control relaxes during micturition reflex. What is that sphincter?
Internal.
Internal sphincter is under involuntary control, that is under the control of sympathetic system, and relaxes during the micturition reflex. Very little is found in the globule filtrate because of the negatively charged and repelled by the basement membrane.
Protein.
Speak it again.
Albumin.
Albumin, yes. Albumin is the very little is found in the glomerular filtrate. Vasa recta is the branch of renal arterioles. Which renal arterioles are we talking about?
Efferent.
Vasa recta branch of efferent arterioles. Efferent arterioles. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story I wanted to tell you today. I will say, God bless you. Now you are starting with some other professor here. Perhaps endocrines and then reproduction and then coming to the spatial sciences and neurophysiology in second year. I might go to first year now. So thank you very much for everything what you have done for me. Thanks a lot.